Hey guys, the Game Awards show has produced a couple of controversies with some news and trailers that were shown. First, it was more or less mild controversy with Witcher 4. I say mild because we had Naughty Dog's Intergalactic trailer, so yeah, Witcher was mild controversy in comparison. And since it is a game I care more about, we will go through these in more details. I would say that there were more trust issues showing up rather than grave problems with trailer itself. Imagine this being trailer to Witcher 3 DLC, I reckon it would be more or less well received. The problem is that it's not 2015 anymore and CD Projekt Red had lost significant amount of players' trust since then. They had ESG policies and DEI hiring controversies, DEI checklist element in Cyberpunk 2077. They got associated with some very toxic people, etc., etc. So it is understandable that they made a lot of people suspicious, and suspicious people usually are seeking to confirm their suspicions. So when CD Projekt Red showed their trailer where Ciri is shown as what seemed to be an actual Witcher, it started all kind of discussions about potential lore retcon or plot holes and stuff like this. But there were also claims that she was uglified. Now, we don't know yet what exactly happens in the game and whether it's gonna be faithful to the lore. CD Projekt Red claims that they gonna stick to the lore, so we will have to pause this particular discussion for a bit to get some hard evidence. As for her looks, to be honest, I don't really think she looked that bad to conclude anything definitive. Cinematic trailer style, colors, that weird, creepy lighting and camera angles, coupled with her haircut, they are doing her dirty in certain scenes, that's true, but then she looks somewhat better in other scenes, then not so great again, then normal again, etc. Considering that it's not an in-game model, it's kind of pointless to bet on the fact that she is indeed uglified. Making models for cinematic trailers is more like a side gig for gaming company after all, so I can't really tell whether it's just not the best model in not too flattering trailer where no one actually looks good to begin with, or there is something really dubious going on. Then there is a narrative of the trailer, with some people finding it to be made specifically with the theme being stupid man sacrificing a woman and another strong independent woman trying to save the victim from ignorant patriarchy. This is a case where trust and reputation come into play. CD Projekt has a dent in trust, but they still have some of it left. Therefore, if we were to forget some of the scenes, we could say, well, Ciri makes sense as a hero in this universe, and scenario of this trailer is just a ripoff from countless of old stories going back to Greek myths and such about women sacrifice to, some sea monsters or dragons to appease them, etc., etc. So for optimists, it is just an iteration of old myth. And for pessimists, or maybe even for realists, it is carefully and consciously chosen narrative for a specific agenda. Witcher 4 also got into that list of games that replaced male protagonist with female protagonist, which would not be that detrimental 10 years ago, but today when you do this, you pretty much get into a certain pattern, whether you want it or not. This is another case where CD Projekt Red would greatly benefit from perfect reputation that they no longer have. Because in this case, the swap of characters is sort of expected as Geralt's story was meant to be concluded in the final part of the trilogy. However, many people aren't happy with mandatory female protagonists when they already imagine that they will be able to play as their own custom male Witcher. I feel like CDPR may actually have a point here though, because from their perspective, they have Ciri as an established character and they may feel that it's much easier to market her compared to a no name custom Witcher with a sandbox feeling to it. Because they have the franchise based on interesting story with people knowing that they have created a strong story driven game, Devs have guaranteed attention to these aspects of their future game, but maybe they don't feel so comfortable to venture into a more sandboxy setting where the stories they leverage have less impact. From what CDPR says, it feels like they're gonna try to hit the middle ground between player influence on the character and some pre established lore and stories. Now, of course, if Ciri gonna be an obnoxious girl boss, CDPR will lose a lot of sales. However, if she will be just a female character that allows you to make most of the choices yourself, it might work in their favor, because then CDPR gets both sort of custom Witcher and marketable character. And yes, I get it. At this point, people are very cautious about female protagonists, and I feel the same. On the brighter side, the game I'm playing in the background for this video has a female protagonist too, and she's lovely. She doesn't make you punch your screen, she has nice feminine voice, pleasant personality, and she's a good and brave person. So yeah, you can make a decent female protagonist for male audience. It's just that so many devs miserably fail because they push for agenda and instead create Forspoken, Flintlock, or Unknown Nine Awakening kind of female characters who people hate. Will CDPR become yet another loser, or will they actually use this simple formula of creating likable female characters? And the last thing, there were articles suggesting that CDPR is looking for new, wider audience, which invoked bad memories about the infamous and mythical modern audiences and stuff like this. However, in the source material, which is a CDPR representative's interview by IGN, it actually sounds better because the context for that phrase is that they have to bring new generation of gamers into a universe they are unfamiliar with due to their age. So this was mostly about the fact that last Witcher game was released quite a long time ago. It didn't sound like a jab against old fans or something like this. So anyway, at this point, I feel like the whole thing is in a gray area where the best approach is to be cautious and observe without making big bets on the outcome. But for the next trailer, it was so much worse, without even a trace of optimism or space for coping. Naughty Dog presented their new title called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. It was a trailer filled with brand placement and with a character who looks like she has escaped from a meme about Western developers creating the ugliest female they can come up with. Racially and sexually ambiguous, shaved, tattooed creature with androgynous body type who acts as an obnoxious character and appeals to those modern audiences. It's like they decided to complete the whole DEI checklist in the shortest time possible. It genuinely hits you with that Concord Dustborn energy from the get go. Now, if you look at intergalactic trailers on the YouTube, you can see how they're being slaughtered with dislike numbers. See, unlike CD Projekt Red, who made people kind of suspicious about them, Naughty Dog has signaled that they will come up with a DEI slop for sure. If Cyberpunk 2077 had infamous checklist elements, The Last of Us Part 2 was one huge middle finger pushed into your face, with devs being smug about it. That game has put Neil Druckmann's name into the category of people who will decrease your sales. And now you have another incoming substance from him. One of the most worrisome things, apart from ridiculous character, is the fact that there was so much shilling and astroturfing for The Last of Us Part 2 that I'm afraid Naughty Dog might be completely delusional about the reception of their upcoming game. They might be still stuck in that 2020 when all the shills, activists, and journalists united their efforts to gaslight everyone into believing that Naughty Dog has produced something outstanding and out of this world amazing. That is Last of Us Part 2. And to top it, it also got shilled at the Game Awards of that year. So, if you were thinking that they have learned something, you might consider the fact that they had no incentives to actually learn and adapt. Yes, their Metacritic user score was very low, but you know how it is. It's just review bombing, guys. We are doing great. Ignore all those angry customers. They are just trolls. Their total failure to reach sales numbers of the first part might serve as a cold shower in theory, but I somehow doubt that they will react properly. After all, we saw the trailer, and you know how these people love to make excuses about sales numbers. Essentially, the trust is all time low. It is a game with Neil Druckmann. It was conceived at the times when DEI Slop was very popular and well funded. It seems to be completely detached from players' taste, developer turning off comments, game related profiles on social medias, focusing on journalistic praise with zero reaction to the criticism, so nothing reassuring at all. Of course, they can't save it. Ditch that character or sideline it in favor of someone more interesting and appealing. But knowing these people and how they love to exist in their echo chambers protected by journalistic praise, I somehow doubt that they will actually have any change. The poor reception will be attributed to online trolls, they will go with current character, and the game will be memed into oblivion, with Naughty Dog getting their dose of layoffs after the game underperforms in sales department. Also, Sony looks kind of ridiculous at this point. Their leadership seems to be into some sort of financial loss fetish or something. How you can be in the gaming business and not see all of this? How can you fail at preventing losses that are so easy to avoid? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I see you later.